Assalamu alaikum dear students. I hope you will be doing good. Today we are going to study geography. It's the lecture from the month of April. So the chapter which we are going to study today is chapter number 11, that is migration. It's page number 98 to 101 from your textbook. The learning objectives of today's lecture are: what does migration mean? Why do people migrate? Migration for work, migration for religious reasons, migration to escape violence, war, or conflicts, migration as a way of life, migration due to natural disasters, advantages and disadvantages of migration, illegal immigration. So let's discuss our first topic. What does migration mean? Migration means leaving one's home and making a new home in another place in search of work or better living conditions. People also move from one country to make another country their home. Human migration is the movement of people from one place to another with the intentions of settling permanently or temporarily at a new location. The movement is often over long distances and from one country to another. But internal migration is also possible indeed. You need to understand that there are two types of migrations. One is international migration and the other one is internal migration. International migration is the permanent movement from one country to another country. For example, when I move from Pakistan to America or Turkey, whereas internal migration is permanent movement within the same country. For example, if I move from from Karachi to Islamabad, okay, most people find migration within a country less traumatic and easier than international migration because they find familiar language, foods, broadcasts, literature, music, and the other social gatherings, events, festivals after they move. Moves within a country also generally involve much shorter distance than those in international migration. When I migrate from Pakistan to Turkey, I have to learn in Turkish language because most of the local people of Turkey cannot speak English and cannot understand English. So I have to learn their language in order to communicate them. But when I migrate from Karachi to Islamabad, there's no need to learn Punjabi language since these two cities are present in our country, in a single country, that is Pakistan. So we can talk in our national language, which is Urdu. And if I want to see my parents, I want to visit them, I can easily come from Islamabad to Karachi at any time. But when we talk about Turkey, international migration, I cannot frequently come to visit my parents since the distance is quite greater. So why do people migrate? Some people migrate for economic purposes, some migrate for education purposes. We will discuss these later on. But now I have to tell you that the factors that influence people to migrate are called push and pull factors. These factors in geography refer to the causes of migration among people. Push factors refers to conditions which force people to leave their homes, while the pull factors attract people towards a new place. In the next slides, I'm going to tell you some of the prominent push and pull factors. Push factors include poverty, unemployment, poverty, which is the state of being extremely poor, unemployment, the state of being unemployed, or you can say that free, without any job, poor land or not enough land. If you don't have enough land, then or the vegan land, then how will you build your house there, right? Natural disasters such as floods that will cause destruction and you have to leave the place, shortage of water and shortage of food. If there will be no food, there will be no life. Then pull factors. These factors include work, services of healthcare sectors such as hospitals, education, food, and better standard of living. These factors basically attract you to migrate to a new place. All right, the most common reasons why people migrate are work. Some people move in search of work or economic opportunities. We're going to discuss these in detail later. Just to give you overview now, religious reasons, cultural and environmental factors also induce migration. For example, if I live in America and where I cannot offer prayers freely in mosques, so I have to leave that place and I have to move in a country where I can practice my religion freely, right? Then family reasons. Individuals migrate because they think that they can improve their own lives or those of their families by doing so. Education. It is basically the main reason why people migrate to abroad, the foreign countries, because in Pakistan we do not have much resources to conduct research. In order to do PhD, most people migrate to China or some other foreign country because of plenty of resources are there. Then escaping from wars or conflicts. If there is a war occur in a region or a state of a world, then we have to migrate from that state to the place where there are plenty of resources, because whenever a war occur, for example, a war occur, God forbidden, if the war occur in Pakistan, then what will happen? We won't have enough resources to survive. We will have to face the difficulties of obtaining food. We will face the shortage of water, food, lands. So these factors will compel us to leave this state, and then migration will occur. Escaping from natural disasters such as floods or earthquakes. Whenever natural disaster takes place, the state will be disrupted. So these factors compel people to leave their place. So let's discuss migration for work in detail. Most people migrate for economic reasons. All right. So people think that if they move to abroad from Pakistan, they will be paid more. So they leave this country. All right. In Pakistan, many people migrate. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about the internal migration. All right. Uh, Previous example was related to international migration. Now I'm going to give you an example of internal migration. Okay, so in Pakistan, many people migrate from rural areas to town or cities, basically to the urban areas to find work. All right. For example, let's it's the cruel example, but like the maids, they are migrated from the rural areas to the urban areas in order to get more wages. Okay, so in the rural areas, the main occupation is farming, while some people are tradesmen also. Some people are skilled craft also, and they do um, handcrafting, like they make um, stoles, jewelries, in which they stick beads and some other work, right? They do embroideries and sell their work in urban cities so that they can get more wages. All right. Few people also work in shops and do unskilled work, like they are involved in buying and selling of goods. The income level in the rural areas is generally low, and living conditions are not very good because they are poor, so they cannot afford, people cannot afford expensive goods in rural areas, and the sanitary conditions, the hygienic conditions are not good as compared to the urban cities and urban areas. However, the urban areas where most industries are located provide many jobs to these people. So they get opportunities, job opportunities, and they migrate from rural area to the urban area. The push factor in this kind of migration are poverty, low income, and unemployment. In Pakistan, Punjab has a higher number of migrants from rural areas to cities than any other provinces. All right, since it's the largest province of Pakistan, so more people migrate to that province. That's how it's the largest populated province became. They usually head for Lahore, Multan, Faisalabad, and Bahawalpur. All right, but some people also migrate to Karachi from the rural areas, which is the largest city in Pakistan, attracts high number of migrants from across Pakistan. When Islamabad was built in 1960s, lots of people migrated from their hometowns to live and work there. In 1950s and 1960s, many people, or you can see that Pakistani people immigrated to the United Kingdom. Mostly they migrated to England, where a huge demand for doctors and other professionals and steel and textile workers was created Second World War, post Second World War, and the Britain needed labor to rebuild the country. Also, many Pakistani immigrants set up their shops, bakeries, halal restaurants, and takeaways and jewelry shops there so that they can be paid more by selling their goods. You know that in foreign countries there is a demand of um, there is a demand of halal food because Pakistani or the Muslims live there. So we Pakistanis, no matter when at what place we live, we'll consume the halal food, right? So the developed countries of the world like the UK, the US, Australia, and Canada are the main countries which provide job opportunities to Pakistani immigrants, and they give them or give us more wages as we compare to our country. The ever growing demand of the labor market in oil producing countries like UAE and Saudi Arabia has also led to massive labor migration from Pakistan to where wages are high. It is estimated that about 8 million people, Pakistani people, have migrated to these countries for economic reasons. Migration for religious reasons. When during 1947, when we got freedom, there was a massive migration of more than 1100 people took place. Why is that so? Because the subcontinent was divided into the two parts in India and Pakistan. So you know that the Muslims they had to be migrated in a place where they can freely practice their religion. So they could not live in India. That is why they migrated here. So perhaps you belong to one of the many migrant families who moved from India to Pakistan at that time. About 4.7 million Hindus and Sikh migrated from Pakistan to India because of their religious practices. They can perform their practices more easily and freely in India because they are Hindus, and Hinduism is more common in Hindustan, obviously. That is India. All right, about 6.5 million Muslims migrated from India to Pakistan. Migration to escape violence, war, or conflicts. All right, so people are forced to migrate from a place if they are victimized on the basis of race, religion, political view, etc. More than half of the Jews in Germany immigrated to escape persecution and death at the hands of the Nazis between 1933 and 39. Basically, uh, Nazis are the people that live in Germany. They were killing Jews at that time. So Jews had to be migrated across Europe to USA and Palestine. If wars or conflicts break out in a country or a region, people are forced to leave their homes, to seek refuge in another country, to seek protection in another country because they have to survive. If the people won't do so, they would have been killed. For example, people began to move from Afghanistan to Pakistan in 1979 because of the war between Afghanistan and Soviet Union. At that time, around 4 million Afghan refugees took shelter in Pakistan, and 2 million refugees went back in 1999 as Afghanistan headed towards peace. For example, God forbidden, if there will be a war occur between India and Pakistan. So, for example, if we leave our country and move to America as a refugee, refugees are basically the people who migrated from the country in which the war has been placed in order to seek protection, right? So, what was I saying? Um, yeah, when I'm sorry, I forgot completely. When let's take another example. Yeah, I was saying that if God forbidden there's a war occur in Pakistan, and if we move to USA in order to seek refuge, in order to seek protection, when the conditions in Pakistan will get improved, we can get back to Pakistan. All right, because it is our homeland. We cannot live and settle anywhere in the world with this much um, freedom. There are still large number of Afghan refugees living in Pakistan currently, mainly in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. Because you know that Afghanistan, Syria, these countries are involved in wars, so their refugees got escaped somehow from our borders, and they live and settled in our countries like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan. There are many Iraqi, Bengali, Burmese, and Somalian national living in the urban areas of Pakistan. Some might be here due to study purposes. Some are here as refugees. They are mainly asylum seekers, and many of them are waiting to be resettled in developed countries such as Australia, Canada, US, UK, and Germany. Um, do you know which country took in more refugees than any other country each year? Like, Turkey had more refugees than any other country, and most of its refugees are Syrians. Why Syrians? Because Syrians in Syria, there's a war happening. You know that. That is why they seek protection. They want protection. In order to seek protection, they migrate. They left Syria and migrate in Turkey. In 2011, an uprising started against the Syrian government, which eventually turned into a civil war. And you people know that in Syria, still there's war occurring there. 4.5 million people have fled from Syria to escape the civil war and to seek refuge in their neighboring countries like Jordan, Lebanon, and Turkey. Okay, what are asylum seekers? Asylum seeker are the persons who flee from their home because of the war in order to get protection to international protections, in order to get protections from international countries. All right. People have migrated from Eritrea, which is a country in South, East Africa, from for the same reason, to escape from the war. Most of the people from that country traveled to Europe to seek refuge. Then migration. I have told you these things already. That is showing on your screen. Then migration as a way of life. Some people spend their migrating living in temporary homes such as tents or caravans. The caravans are basically the vehicle in which you can see the setup of a house, set up like a house. Did you ever notice the vents in which you can see uh, a room in which you can find all the possible requirements of survival? They move from place to place to find food, water for themselves and their livestock. The nomadic or nomads, these are basically the people of Thar Desert, migrate twice each year if there's no drought. They make a living from their livestock, but they also go to work for farmers when wheat and rice are sown and harvested. Migration due to natural disaster. People also migrate if the land or the place where they are living initially has been damaged by natural disasters such as floods, droughts, earthquakes, or pollution. For example, if we talk about the earthquake that appeared in Azad Kashmir in the north part of Pakistan in 2005. It was a massive earthquake. It caused massive destruction of that land where it happened. People lost their houses and homes and their lives. So those who saved, who survived, uh, traveled to Islamabad and some other parts of our country. All right. Then moving towards advantages and disadvantages of migration. The process of migration not only affects the lives of the migrants, but also the places from and to which they move. Um, no matter where the immigrants come from, their requirements or their needs are accommodation, clean water, okay, because the water that is provided them should be clean, then accommodation to survive, such as hospitals if they're sick, so they can visit the hospital, the schools for getting good education, and access to hospitals and schools. Food, obviously, without food, we cannot survive. Because if we cannot eat food, then how will we get energy? Then, sanitation. Sanitation refers to public health conditions related to cleanness, like clean drinking water, food which is free from bacteria and fungi and other microorganisms, molds, etc. Then, migration has many advantages as well as disadvantages. Migration has many advantages if the host country has the resources to accommodate immigrants. Countries where there's a lack of human resources or workforce encourage immigration, they will promote immigration. Obviously, when there will be loss or shortage of human resources, people have to leave that place. All right. Some countries want people from other countries to work for them to overcome the shortage of workers. Okay, like UAE, they provide job opportunities to Pakistanis. Pakistanis move to UAE. For example, if they work in oil companies as laborers, and they are getting more salaries compared to Pakistan, since the currency of UAE is quite valuable and higher as compared to ours. Okay, for example, Australia and Canada. These two countries welcome refugees or the immigrants from such poor countries like underdeveloped countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, to work in their health, education, and industrial sectors and defense sectors as well. Then sometimes these immigrant population can become a burden on the host country because when there will be number of people living in a single place, then there will be a shortage of food, land, and other resources. So the people of the host country might have to pay higher taxes. What is meant by the host country? Host country is for when we talk about Afghan refugees, they come here and settled in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So we are the host, and the Afghani people, Afghans are refugees. Okay? Due to poor living conditions, many immigrants have to live in poverty and some may turn to crime. In Pakistan, you can also observe the poverty rate and the crime rate. These two are quite higher, and these two becomes a trouble and threat to life and survival. When the population of the host country rises, then it will create the problems like unemployment, shortage of housing, food, and water that will lead to poor living conditions. Okay, then illegal immigration. Illegal migration refers to the migration of the people into a country or the continued residence of people without the legal right to live in that country. Right? For example, the Afghans who are living in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, some are living in Karachi, so they are the illegal immigrants. And many countries around the world, including Pakistan, are facing the problem of illegal immigration. In Karachi, there are thousands or even more than thousand illegal immigrants have settled. Their presence is not known to the government authorities. These authorities are not known from where these refugees came and what is the real source of origin of them. In Karachi or Pakistan, these illegal immigrants mainly doing unskilled work like in industries, in construction industries or the oil industries, etc. Most prominent people who came here and survives as illegal immigrants are the people from Bangladesh and Afghanistan. So I hope you people must have got understood this lecture. So it's time to write answers of the questions. Question number 1, what does migration means? Number 2, list any 6 reasons that describe why people migrate. Number 3, what are push and pull factors of migration? Number 4, what is migration for work? Number 5, what do you think why people migrate due to natural disaster? And question number 6, with the help of textbook, make 10 filling the blanks from the chapter. So it's the end of today's lecture. Thanks for your attention and patience. Me, Miss Sobia Yusuf, signing off. Allah Hafiz.